All right, welcome back to Firewatch Business, and I have the honor of talking to Richard Blank, who is in Costa Rica right now.
Pura vida, everybody. So happy to be with you and your audience. Thanks for having me as a guest.
Absolutely. All right, so you are in Costa Rica. You have the largest call center there, correct?
Largest collection of pinball machines. I'm a nice sized center,
Well,
150 seats. But my friend, we have Amazon here. They have thousands.
I hear you. So yeah, I do want to get into the pinball thing because that's very interesting. Um, uh,
Cool.
and do you go with a particular brand? Are you always looking for a particular brand? Is that because you say Rockola jukeboxes also, right?
That's correct, yes. But
So
then Seabergs and Wurlitzers fall into those as well, which I've had. And when it comes to the pinball machines, my favorite decade is the 1970s. I love those
mm,
electromechanical machines, and I love the artwork and the marquees and the sounds of the bells. And it was a simple play, but the play field was so open and is easy. So that was my favorite decade.
really, that's very interesting. My dad has one. It was from the '70s, and he's still upstairs, right next to his pool table. So very cool
God
stuff.
bless him.
We had a little bar here in town where I live that
Yeah.
he bought and sold and traded pinball machines. And so you would go in
Mm.
there and you would play pinball and have your cocktails and drinks. And it was a very interesting. And he had old ones as well as new ones, So he was all over the board. But if you offered him enough money, he would take it. He would buy and sell them. So yeah, in the Rockola. Am I pronouncing that right? The Rockola
Yeah,
jukebox compared
Ricola.
to a Wurlitzer,
Well, I
right?
mean, if you a jukebox is a jukebox, but the Ricola's usually the most known because it's the arc and it's the bubbles and it's in what Johnny Rockets. But no, these beautiful machines. I mean, to fix the motors cost a little bit of money. The 45s are tough to find, and a lot of people like the sound of the needle, and I agree with that. But this is what I did. I didn't want to spend too much money for that sort of restoration. But if the outside was beautiful, the glass was original, the keys were there, just put an MP3 and a Bluetooth in it, and you can just have a million songs and everyone can enjoy themselves. And so instead of killing myself for parts, I just bought them, cleaned them up, and they're rocking and rolling.
Wow, and they are artwork. I mean, it is an art, beautiful. I love Art Deco. That is what I love. I love mid-century Art Deco. So some of those
Me
things are
too.
really beautiful, beautiful. All right, man. So that's very cool. I love that that you do that. I mean, how many pinball machines did you say you had? 150?
150 agents. I wish I owned 150 machines, but
No, 150
I,
agents.
I currently have 15 pinball machines. My oldest is a 1970 Bally's Camelot, and the newest one is a mid 90s Arnold Schwarzenegger Data East, and everything in between. But anyone that collects a machine realizes how high maintenance they are. And it's not
Yes.
cool to like tilt the machine or bang. Come on, man. It's a lot of money but they are beautiful. And I'm going to say something. The fact that these machines, and you're mentioning Art Deco, if something's been preserved for 50, 60, 70 years, do you know how many people fell in love with it, enjoyed it, how it's been passed around and preserved? And so I'm on their time. I'm a guest in their space. And it's just beautiful to be able to feel that sort of energy from these machines. And I'm going to say it again, especially these electrical, mechanical, older machines. When it's hitting the bumpers and the ball decides where it wants to go, the machine's pretty much telling you if it loves you or not that day. And so, anyone that really plays the game, because it was expensive growing up, a quarter would go in a minute, but I could play asteroids for an hour. So
Mhm.
you had to choose your games, and just pinball was just too expensive. And so I don't know, my man. I started a business. I had the space, I had the income, and arcades were going out of business. So I would get a truck, and my buddies Tommy, Joey, and Billy grab a couple dollars and drive to Perez Zeledon. Next thing you know, I'm coming back with some machines. And listen, you can buy some parts and swap out the CPUs and the stuff that's behind the marquee. And if you do that, then you're taking out all these old, you know, parts that are 40 years old, and you can buy a
Mhm.
replacement for like $100 and just replace the sound and the electric and the noise and everything. And the rest is just cabling and the lights.
Which one is your most favorite? Your most favorite pinball machine is which one? Is it the
Mm.
70, the oldest?
You know, you're not supposed to have a favorite child, but you're allowed to say you don't like the redheaded stepchild. I'm only kidding. I don't know. I go through certain phases, but I guess the machine to me, which all around is the most enjoyable fun, is the 1986 Williams Pinbot machine. It's the most known, but it's like a light show, and I love the noises. I love the 80s, and it was just a perfect combination of an easy play. It's a plug and play and just love that machine. That's probably my top one. Just
So
don't tell me how the machines
do
mess
you
it.
like the teenage the Who song? Uh, um, I now I lost the name of the song. You
Pinball
know, teenage.
Wizard, of course,
Oh,
with
thank
Elton
you.
John.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and I can't agree with them more. I mean, they said deaf, dumb, blind kid, but they're also talking about feeling the machine, being one with the machine. Listen, when you can feel the springs and feel where the balls are going against these bumpers, it is so, and it's so funny because I'll speak to the agents at the call center and they said, yes, boss, I've played pinball before. I played virtual pinball.
uh,
There's a huge difference. And so, besides giving them a job and paying them, why not give them an experience that they'll never be able to see and have that sort of medium where you can relate and let off steam and bond with people? And so I always felt recess was the best class. It's where you made your friends. And so I've created an environment where, yeah, we work hard, but then again, instead of a cigarette or being on your phone looking at Instagram, I'd rather hang out with you in the arcade playing air hockey, Pac-Man, and pinball.
that's amazing. That's a great idea. What a team building kind of deal. No
That's fun.
doubt.
Keeps you young, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get into a little bit here about, this channel is all about entrepreneurship and small businesses. That's what we focus on and how we do it. You left
Hmm.
the United States, right? You graduated from Arizona and headed out to Costa Rica at a
At
very young
27. Yeah,
age.
that's right. Still had
And
hair on my chest.
what was the motivation?
It's being a Spanish major, kind of in between jobs. And I guess it was your last hurrah. 27 is an important age for a lot of people. And I don't know. I guess I wanted to see if I was capable of being an expat for a period of time. And don't kid yourself. It's not like I just showed up and didn't know anybody. I came down with my cousin and a good friend from college owned a call center. So it's almost starting off on third base. But you had to earn your stripes. And when I came here, besides Costa Rica being beautiful and a wonderful culture, the weather, the food, the excitement in the beaches, the call center environment had an allure. This is back in 2000. So you had the big monitors people were using, Cisco phones and working off of Excel sheets and stuff. A lot of the CPUs weren't even in place. And so I saw bilingual agents conversing on the phone. And to me, I saw the art of speech and a return of investment of their language like I was getting by living there and speaking Spanish. And when I learned it, I learned certain soft skills. You might see it as manipulation, but excuse me, if someone knows how to dance and has social grace, there are ways to ask clarification questions and acknowledge those that have passed the call along to get you to a decision maker. And nothing wrong, my friend, with using military alphabet so emails don't bounce back.
Right,
And there's
right,
other anchoring techniques to separate yourself from the average telemarketer. Sure, you can be assertive and you have a goal in mind, but you just don't need to carpet bomb and just try to, in essence, you know, I guess it's infringing on barriers and lines that people have because these are cold calls or you're asking for commitments of time or money or just listening. And so to me, you kind of have to make it like a painting. I mean, sure, you can repeat the same act over and over. It's great and people like it and it works. But don't be
right.
plain like a print. because it's giving a disservice to the person you're trying to make this impression on. And so um, it allowed me, my friend, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, to be able to jump clouds and play the long game, because every rejection I had, I saw it more as a romantic death. It wasn't stopping me. It was just one of those good stories to tell over drinks with my buddy, while we're doing well. You talk about the scars, you talk about the time you got beat
Absolutely.
up and you still got back up. And so, yeah, those are the little simple things.
And a lot of our guys that are in business for themselves, they get beat up every day over sales,
Sure.
because they're out there because they got to turn over sales. They got to be, not only are they doing work and producing, but they also got to go out there and shake the trees and get the peaches off of it. So
Okay.
so when we look at that, and you look in your call center, and one of the things that was interesting was the phonetic micro expressions that you were
Expression
talking
reading.
about.
That
Yeah,
is correct. Yeah, sure.
how does that work? And is this something you're listening for? Is this something you're training people to listen for?
Well, it's right in front of you. It's just sometimes people don't see it. Imagine
I
this.
don't see it.
People, well, if you've studied architecture and you look at a building, you understand weight distribution.
Absolutely. We were talking about the phonetic micro expression. You were saying how it was right in
Oh,
front of me, and you just got to see it. And
yeah. Like
explain that.
architecture, people know that stuff. And
Yeah.
it's once again, once you see it, you can't unsee it. 3 weeks, it becomes habit. You've seen the shows where you do visual micro expression reading, the body language, scratching, tell signs in poker. But phonetic is pure sound. And so, since you're sitting in a controlled environment like the call center for 160 hours a month, you got to see something. You're
Mm,
eliminating three senses: your taste, touch, and smell. Hearing should be expanded. The sight is, really is more image streaming. But the phonetic microexpression reading, let's think of a simple XY chart. Let's think of pre-algebra. Okay.
mhm,
The X represents the speed. The Y represents the speaking level, the pitch. The tone in your phonetic should be consistent. It should always be confident and empathetic. Don't worry about how their tone is. Don't mirror image that. You want to match sound and speed, because every 30 seconds is a checkpoint. These are new reads. These are people you're talking to. And you can see a spike or a dip. If that happens, you should be asking clarification questions. If things make sense, sounds good, may we move forward, things like that. But here's the beauty of it. The tone rate and pitch can be manipulated, usually is. But the duration, the silence in between the sound is how you get the phonetics. That's the real tell sign. That's why cops always bring out the evidence by the fourth question. Then Mr. Meany starts crying or he can't say anything. And so for me, people subconsciously can't even answer at the same pace. You can curse at me, you can interrupt or not talk, scream or whisper. Do that for an hour. But tell me you can answer me every 3 seconds. It's impossible, especially if I show you something emotional or get you
mhm.
excited or bore you.
Right.
Hmm? And so, what do you do? Well, what can you do? You can whistle while you work, while you're still carrying. This will not hold you back from listening, typing, closing deals. All I'm telling you to do is be a little more astute, a little more lucid, and pay attention. But Richard, as I mentioned, it could be manipulated. I know. That's why the insurance policy is the silence. But let me put it this way. Nothing's foolproof. You can't bet 1,000. But in my 10,000 phone calls, in the course of over 20 years, it's probably more than 10,000, but that's not the point.
Probably.
Um, you see patterns. You have to see patterns if you're there. If you're not in the now, you're thinking of pizza and lunch and you're going to miss certain tell signs to anchor with people, like if a dog barks. If you're not paying attention, you're not going to catch it. And that's when you ask its name, its breed, and how old is your puppy? Hmm? No
Mm,
one asks those questions. But let's get back to the phonetic microexpression reading. As I'm mentioning before, a 10-minute phone call is 20, 30-second segments. It's almost like 9 out of 10 doctors in petri dishes. How many times out of 100 does it turn yellow? So if you're looking at a phone call that's 10 minutes on average, let's say a 5-minute phone call, well, there's at least 10 spikes or dips that you might see there. And what's wrong with a 3-second insurance policy by saying, Jason, does this make sense? Because if it doesn't make sense and you continue with the call, then you're wondering why you didn't convert the call to an appointment or a
Right.
sale. I'd rather
Right.
have a solid 3 minutes that gets killed compared to a shaky 10 that you got to chase, never calls back, and you waste 43 minutes of your life in the next 6 months. And so you could really clean these lists and you can do it well. And the number one bit of advice I can give to somebody, and this is a phonetic microexpression, it's a positive or a negative reinforcement. The number one rule you should remember is a positive escalation. If Judy transfers me to you, first I'm going to let her know she did a great job. But then when I get transferred to you, prior to even introducing myself and my company, I said, Jason, I got to let you know, Judy's the nicest person in the world.
Right.
And you're going to thank me. And then instead of saying, who's this? How'd you get my name? Is this a sales call? You'd be like, hey, you sound like Mr. Sunshine. Who is Mr. Nice Guy complimenting my assistant who never does that? I did it verbally. And when I have the meeting minutes and I send you the email, I'm going to do it in writing. And so out of
Sure.
1,000 phone calls that your company receives, how many compliments did she get verbally? Maybe a few. How many did she get in writing? Just me. And so when
Mhm.
the Richard Circle happens and I call your company back and she picks up the phone, I'm going to get a hero's welcome. They're going to tell me 1,000 things about you and your amazing company. And there's ways to do things naturally. And if you do it, you have a stronger foundation. There's better roots there. It stays. It's not a one and a done where you got one over on somebody. I mean, the best thing to do to separate yourself from others is to do some due diligence, to show the manners that you've had before. Don't try to squeeze your way in there to try to speak to you. Some people try to do that. And if a supervisor or an owner of a company asks you to do that, it might last for a little bit, but you're going to burn some people out because people
Mm.
don't work like that. That's not normal style. There's a certain wu way and a beautiful flow of energy transfers. And so, if you have talent and you have skills, you have the leverage and the opportunities to choose where you want to work. You don't have to sell your soul for a dollar. And
Right.
so, my beautiful entrepreneurs that are out there, you have to realize something. As glamorous Hollywood makes sports books, casinos, stocks, pharmacies, and sweepstakes, I don't do any of those campaigns at my call center. Some do. But I chose to be very selective. You have your word, you have your reputation. And if you're that good, you can pass on the one thing that's gray area or shady. And you can do the correct thing. And that's maybe why I've been in business for 18 years, because you did it the right way. Could I have made more money? Maybe. But then I could have also gotten in a lot of trouble. And so you have to think, I'm going to say it is the long game. Do things to make your family and friends proud of you, where you don't have to fake it in order to have this impression, because you, at the end of the day, my friend, when you're looking in the mirror, you're going to know if you did the right thing or not. That's the sort of
Absolutely.
dignity that you need. Yeah, man.
Absolutely. So I mean, you have the opportunity to work with many companies that you don't, and you choose not to work with them because they're not going to follow what you feel like they need to be. I wouldn't say doing, but they just don't fall in your of what you want to do or what you want your company to be known for.
Excellent question. That's why you have an amazing podcast. Let's dissect that for a minute, please. The number one rule is if they're doing something illegal, DNC list that they want me to be the fall guy, or it's just flat out steal, I'm not going to do it. Just not going to do it. That's number one. Number two, and number three. Secondly, let's look at another level. If your management curses, berates, belittles my agents, it's not a good fit either. I don't need Tommy dropping F bombs or writing in red. It just doesn't work like that, because I'm the one that hires them and sees them every day. It's right bus, right seat. Guess what? I could always take them off of your campaign and put them on better pastures. So don't think you're the only person. They work with
Right.
me. I hired them. I'm financially responsible for them legally. So everyone needs to calm down there. That's the second level. And then the third level is, are you prepared? Now listen, if you don't have a script, we can work on that. If you don't have a list, we can always get one. If you've never made the calls before, we can start with the metrics. I can give you comparisons. But if you are throwing certain metrics and service level agreements at me that in my mind, working backwards in my experience, is unrealistic, then don't try to compare my prices to the east of offshore call centers in India and the Philippines and say that they're half my price. Well, if they're able to do 10 an hour in inbound customer support on a, let's say, 5 minute talk time and a couple minutes for wrap up, okay, but don't expect me to do 25 without reducing quality. It's a mess. But on the flip side, if we're hunters, we're hunters. If you're talking about lead gen, appointment setting, retention, even
Mm-hmm.
sales, then we have a shot at it. Because through merit, those 100 phone calls that you make a day, you could be building a pipeline. You could be slowing down those calls. So you're thinking that a 10-minute talk time means it's a better call. No, man. If you're having a great call, it goes about 6 minutes. You shave the fat. You get to the point. And then there's 1 or 2 extra minutes, kind of like at the end of class where it ends early. You and I can just chum it up, and just talk about Judy for a minute. And just like in The Wolf of Wall Street, now we'll give him credit. There is that beautiful scene in the beginning where he's at that shopping center and walks in there and he's in his suit and he's selling in front of everyone, closes a deal in a minute 46. But I love how people are looking at him. And the strongest argument I give to my class is you're bilingual. English is your second language. I have the transcript. Is there a single word in there that you do not understand? They're like, no. Okay. So he's playing with the same cards that you are. It's just name dropping John 6 times, doing the loud whisper, using your body as an illustrator. God bless him for having his back to everybody else. I'm assuming that's the corner wall where there's no window back in there. That's the back of the store. Smart man. I would have taken the same spot. Why? You can put your rhetoric on the wall. Zero
Mm-hmm.
distractions. I'm there to make money. I'm not there to be hanging out with people leaning back, cigarettes smoking. Seriously. And when you're in a certain environment, there may be some energy givers and energy suckers. And I've been in certain places where people tried to hold back my rhythm. It's very difficult to run when you got to hit the ball and drag Johnny. I'm more than willing to pay it forward and give advice. But if you are not prepared, if you're not ready for the A game, this is not school or Saturday fun time in the fort outside. Some people feed families. I'm trying to make a career. And so
That's a good point.
choose those alliances wisely on spend lunch with those people, but when you're upstairs, sit next to the ones that make you want to work harder.
You're talking about that, and you do different programs, right? So you're not just, do you do the inbound customer service calls? Do you do outgoing sales calls? You do all those things through your call center, correct?
That is correct in both English and Spanish. Yes. Hmm.
Wow. So it's fascinating to me because you think of call centers in one way, and it's the way you're explaining it to me in this conversation. It just seems like it's so much more and more nuanced than people really think about it as being.
It used to be annoying. The joke is that they call you during dinner, which some
Mm-hmm.
of them do. We don't. How about this? Today, people prefer omni-channel non-voice, texting, emails, and chats.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Where that was novelty 20 years ago, now that's the norm. And when you make a phone call, that almost seems first class, extra effort. It's not AI because AI is getting very good with robocalls and inbound IVR support. They're missing their timing still, and the voice recognition is still frustrating for people where they need to repeat it where it gets it wrong. And they'll get good at that. Sure they will. Give it another couple of years. But the one thing that AI will not be able to do is replicate empathy. They can have their uncanny valley. They can look, sound, and do everything like us. But it's like sitting on a cold metal bench at the bus stop. It's convenient. It's just not comfortable.
They're not going to
And so,
compliment Judy.
my man, if my puppy runs away and a computer tells me that they know how I feel, no, you do not.
Right.
And don't give me a hug if something bad happens in my life. That's like weird. Okay, it's weird. And so they'll never be able to replace that human connection that we have. And so don't kid yourself when you go to the town square and you see the person playing the violin or the one drawing in charcoal people's profiles. They're going to be rock stars because AI is just going to do 99% of our heavy lifting. But that 1% is that hug, is that handshake, is that look that humans do with each other that make us best friends and want us to continue. And so, am I concerned? No, because I'm going to take advantage of it like everybody. There's luxuries to it. Will it affect my industry? Absolutely. Buggy whip all the way. It's going to replace the majority of the people at this call center. But there will be individuals that will be willing to pay money to actually speak to somebody, to press that zero. They'll spend the extra dollar and they'll know it's not AI because of the way that we respond. And as good as AI will be to know how to do the names, have a million questions to ask, there's going to be just that one human connection about animals, grandmas, and hot chocolate that as much as computers study, I just don't see it. And so that's why when you say there's more to it, of course there's more to it. You would rather call a company than pay a bill online if there's a dispute.
Mhm.
Or me personally, I like to call my airline compared to doing it online. Why? I don't know. I just like that. I don't know. It just makes the trip more exciting because Judy says, have a nice flight. Like the old days, I don't know. What do you want me to say? Um, there are certain people, as you say, Art Deco, you and I, my friend, we're old school. Some people like that, the Waltons sort of feel where you know your neighbor and there's no locked doors and you feel safe at night. And maybe it's passe and I'm out of style. I am old. I'm 52. But damn it, I'm a proud 52. I like the way that I was raised. And if I can extend that with those that work with me, it seemed to have worked. That might have been my special sauce.
Yeah, I'm absolutely I think you're right on. I think it did work. I think it's something that people probably will at some point say, "Man, I missed that. I wish we could do that too." Because you talk about the way we did everything then was more personable, more one on one than anything that anybody's doing nowadays. And I think
You
what
ever
you're
you
saying
ever
is the
write a letter
leverage.
to someone?
Right, exactly. I make
Those
a
are
point
forever. Yeah.
to write a letter to my daughter, you know, probably once every quarter, just to write it and mail it. She lives in Italy, but just so that it is something physical she can touch, and it's not just a FaceTime again.
She'll save them and put it in a
Yeah,
special place. I have
yeah,
letters my whole life, especially from grandma and grandpa and stuff. You got to read those
yeah.
over and over again.
This is very interesting to me because I've never really worked in a call center, and I don't really see a whole lot of call centers or been involved with any. Even as an
Hmm.
accountant, right? As a CPA, I've never had anybody that I worked for as a client that did that. There's a lot more to it than I ever dreamed there was. Isn't that how naive and ignorant I was, right? Until now. That is amazing. And you train these people on watching and boosting their close rates. That's what I'm assuming that we're talking about here, right?
I am, but I'd also like to share with them specific soft skills that besides doing well on the phone and earning a living, that they
Hmm.
can use outside of the office to save a marriage and to make friends. It's a luxury trade and it's very special. But the challenge that I have, I'm painting such rosy, lenses here and glasses for you, but we have one of the largest attritions in any sort of industry. Just not just my call center. People just burn out of the industry in general, just don't want to do it anymore. Why did I do it? I'm an old gladiator. Come on, man. It's like public speaking. People fear it more than death. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll go in the Scooby Doo cave. Why? Because then I get all the gold. That's how you do these things. Anyway, getting back to my point. Um, it's it's not that difficult. It just seems repetitive at times. And so if you make a game of it phonetically, or listening, or seeing what you can do in regards to studying I'll give a good example for you. This will assist. People need to really use the thesaurus, because not saying their vocabulary is not expansive, but I mean, there's certain times you just clash and it's just not the right thing to wear. So people use the word help all the time. And that's all right, but it evokes an ego defense. It's not the closing your eyes, you think of yourself in quicksand saying, Jason, help me. And so we just don't want that. Depending on the stage of the relationship, you start off with assisting somebody. In the middle, you're guiding them. And then at the end, you lend a hand. Hmm? I'm readjusting tones, is all I'm doing. And so, secondly, instead of saying, excuse me, which a lot of people do, or I'm sorry, there's certain things you do in chess. You can sacrifice pawns. And so I'd say, Jason, for my clarification, was it A, B, C, or 1, 2, 3? It's your dog that's barking at your bad cell connection. We know that. But instead of putting you on the spot, it's me on the spot on something like that.
Whoops.
There's that went. And so um, let's see what else we do with people. As I mentioned, military alphabets, so things don't bounce back. Thank
No,
you.
this is fascinating to me. This is so amazing because I was just writing down some notes that like you were talking about the reframing of this stuff that you're saying. The help, and then you're lending a hand, and that is something I need to keep top of mind for myself in everyday work situations, right? Because now you're putting more people at ease, maybe, but you're also pulling it on yourself and saying, "Hey, it's my responsibility to get you from point A to point B."
And look at all the butter I put on that muffin before we even got to even talking about business, with the Judy and the compliments and the dog. I mean, it's great. I mean, it's just, why take half court shots when you can do foul line shots? Give yourself better percentages. That's all.
It's amazing to me. It absolutely is.
Hmm.
Um, when you're doing, I mean, and I'm trying to relate this to what we're doing here and through my audiences, and we're doing those types of things. I think the reframing of some of this stuff would go a long way, especially in some of the networking stuff that people are probably doing too, because it's not just in the sales part, it's also building the relationship part where this kind of stuff really works.
Absolutely. Oh, 1,000%. But just like the mirror, because your hair looks great tonight. I was
Day.
checking out the lid. I was like,
Yeah.
without the mirror, it wouldn't look as good. I trust me. I used to know hair. Um, they need to record themselves. If it's either their presentation or the rhetoric, and not just the video record, that doesn't count. It's the phonetics. Just record yourself so you can listen to yourself. But I don't like how I sound. Well, you don't have a choice. So why don't we do this? Why don't we pause before names and numbers for emphasis? Why don't you choose which word in a sentence as a trigger word?
Mm.
Spike it a bit. Okay? And then I also like to use, like your name, Jason, I'd be using it in the beginning and at the end of a statement, but you can't overkill it. And so personal pronouns like your and are, I give a quarter-second slide for emphasis. So your, because our company. It's subtle, but it works. It just brings you back in like a sheepdog with the little piggies. They don't walk in a straight line except in that movie with the sheep, but they zig and they zag. And so by bringing you back in with attention, and then I go, Jason, makes sense, right? Sure does, Richard. And we move on. And so a lot of the times when you give people options, it's like a dessert tray. Don't rush it. Give each presentation each one. And if you stop at B, stop at B. Don't keep going. You can always get to C, D, and E. And you go from horizontal to vertical and you start asking open-ended questions, not do you like ice cream? What kind of ice cream? I mean, you know what's interesting? You could double and triple questions. You can get the yes and the no, you can get the certain idea, and then you can get a couple more details out of it. That's why instead of 10-minute phone calls goes to 7-minute, because you're doing the talking. It's the woo way. You're carrying the canoe, not me. It's the wind, it's the gravity. You're
Mm.
doing it. And so the majority of the time, use a pulley, use a dolly, help you move furniture easier. Why kill your back? And so there's certain ways that you can give the people the lead when you're actually leading the dance. It's okay. Put your ego aside, as long as at the end you both share that message and there's an agreement, then that's the real goal. Because I tell you what, every single phone call is like a riddle. You might have certain pieces to put together. It's like chemicals. Different combinations produce different things, like colors. And so don't expect the same thing to be every time. You might want to try a different spice like paprika and throw it in there. It might spice things up a bit. But if you have the luxury, as I say, to be able to do some due diligence prior to a phone call like you and I did before meeting today, it makes it that much easier. It really does. I mean, you go from like a 3 to a 9 in regards to resistance. And that's, it's like mass movement. Instead of defense, it moves into offense. You got to move it somewhere, that energy. And you might as well make nice.
Absolutely. That is amazing. 100%
Well,
amazing.
thanks. I appreciate that. You
It,
bring the
it's
best
just,
out of your guests. You know that.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's just, it just makes a lot of sense. Right. And if you could put these things into practice a little bit more, your success rate can't help but be better.
Through the roof. But as I say, my friend, this isn't a one and a done, or like playing the piano or violin where you got to have the equipment and be there. And it's all day, every day. Now, I'm not saying I'm prying, but when you're in public and you overhear people or sitting on the bus and someone's next to you, you can gauge certain things in conversations, and it's not for you to pick them apart. But if that's what you study, rhetoric, and you do it 40 hours a week over the phone and you speak to 200 people a day, you're good at it. You're really good at it. And I tell you what, when you come across a waiter or in the service industry or someone at a certain level, you know they go above and beyond. You know they're a professional. Say something. Say
Hmm.
something, because water seeks its own level. Because as I'm going to tell you this before, only the certain people see that in others as well. It's not through envy. It's admirement. And so I like doing that with people. I like seeing that you've accomplished what I've accomplished, and I can see what you're doing in the hotel, in the restaurant, at the mechanic shop. Love that stuff, especially if your name's on front. Carl's Mechanics. I go, I love this place. You know how hard that guy worked to put his name on there? And so pay it forward. It's a beautiful thing. And don't be surprised if something happens and you call him up and you go, Carl, my car's not working. I'm in big trouble. He goes, buddy, I'm coming to get you. I'm going to make
Hmm.
sure it's working. And I've seen in restaurants when it was full for
Oof.
Mother's Day in Costa Rica. You're trying to get points that day. Well, the restaurant was packed and there was a line out the door. It was at the Intercontinental Hotel. But I knew Don Mario. I knew him when he was a waiter. Now he's the general manager. I've known him for 10 years. He saw me. I saw him. I give him the little off. He goes, give me a minute. Next thing you know, I was there with my wife and my mother-in-law. We went out to the garden right by the pool. The super reserve seat reserved for me. And I just walked in. But I cashed in my chips. Out of all those years that Mario was the waiter, I told his supervisor how great he was. I tipped him well, let him know he was great. My main man. And then when he got promoted, it's not like I was asking for a favor. Oh no, he knew. And those are the sort of relationships that you have with people where you can do very nice things for each other when the time is right.
Uh, Absolutely. That's amazing. And it is so true. I think that a lot of times we don't necessarily take advantage of those opportunities. like we should. Certainly.
You're busy thinking of other things.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not in
Yeah.
the moment. You're on your phone compared to a 1960s movie where, unless you're the guy reading the newspaper, everyone's looking around and see what's going on in the hotel lobby, what
Mhm.
shenanigans are going down. So, yeah, get off the phone. I think the more that you look up, the more you live that life. Hmm.
Absolutely. I couldn't say it better. Uh, Richard, we've had some fun tonight. I don't know if we want to continue on or not, but uh, uh, it was,
I'd be more than happy to answer some more questions. I'm having a great time.
me too. The one thing that I was reading about was the whole buffer boomerang technique. I wanted to ask you
Oh,
about that, but
beautiful. Oh,
what the heck
yeah.
is that?
It's very easy, my man. We're readjusting the tones. Let's say it's in the first 30 seconds of a phone call and you call a place and you would be you would do a name drop. Jason, that's an excellent question. ABC is 123. Richard, what's 123? Jason, glad you brought that up. 123 is ABC. Usually in the beginning of a call, they're going to ask who you are and what your company's name is. And if you just answer them, what's your name? Richard Blank. Name of the company, Costa Rica Call Center. What are we in trouble? It's fifth grade. I mean, come on. You need to sometimes buffer it. Judy, that's an excellent question. The name of my company is Costa Rica's Call Center. So happy you brought it up. And so these are ways that you half moon it. I mean, you've seen people where it comes in and goes back out, or when people in dancing, they can jump up and just hit the floor a certain way where they don't hurt themselves. It's like, yeah, it's like the military where they're jumping from heights, hit the ground and roll and stuff. You won't break a leg. You won't hurt yourself. And you should be, anyone could ask me any question anytime. And I'm going, hey, Billy, that's a great question. ABC's 123. Hey, Richard, what's your favorite color? Favorite color? I'm so glad you brought that up. My favorite color is mint. You know, it's easy if you keep practicing it and speaking to yourself. And so you don't want to say that's an excellent question every time. You got to switch it up a little bit, but it will it will not freeze the kicker. You'll
Mhm.
always be warmed up like cardio before weights. For some crazy reason, when you get really good at it, you don't even have to think about it anymore. There are certain people that have so many rebuttals down the line on talking about how relationships are built with exchanges of information. Oh, thank you for helping. Whom should I speak with? And it's just, they are so programmed from the prior sales calls that they've made or jobs that they had that they can take those skills, bring it to the new job and just readjust one or two things, paint it, change it out a little bit, and it could be used in another industry. And so you're building upon, and especially me, like what I'm trying to do today, besides giving advice, is I like to kind of tell stories of what happened to me in the past and certain things. Because when you tell a story, it's A, so authentic. B, I mean, it's captivating. People love stories.
Absolutely.
And it's just a wonderful time to share a coming of age moment with someone where you beat up a bully or saved a kitten. And at the end, they're giving you nicknames and giving you the business because they love you and they just want to go have dinner with you and hang out because you just seem like a great guy to work with. That's all. You know, you really did it right in the beginning. You don't have to wait 9 years to get to that level.
Do you ever get calls, sales calls to you, and you go, and do you ever coach the guy who's calling you if he's poor when he calls you?
1,000%. Sometimes they don't have the time. They have to go because Billy's yelling at them in the background. But I will speak with some people and I will QA them. I'll quality control them. Oh, why not? Why not? If they have the guts. And off record between me and you, don't tell anybody.
Right, right, right.
Most of them hate what they're doing. So
Mhm.
they're
That's true.
making calls kind of like, give the image of someone whose shoulders are slugged and they're walking in the rain with a wetsuit, getting splashed on and laughed at. That's how they feel. And that's what you can sense from them. And my heart goes out to them. And then I almost get angry at their supervisors, but I got to hold back. But I take a dig at the end. I go, hey, did your supervisor teach you this? But I will you don't have a lot of time, but I'll go over the assist guide and lend a hand. I will go over transitional sentences and tie downs with them quickly. I will tell them,
Mhm.
speak up. I can't hear you. What's my name? Sir, no. Jason, what's my name? Mr. Blank. Thank you. Please keep using that with me. Okay, sir. No, no, no. Come on, Billy. Yes, Mr. Blank. There we go. Start the sentence with my name. Mr. Blank, would you like ABC? Okay, there we go. You're still doing your job. You're still pitching me. You're going to get your metrics. Come on, you spoke to somebody, okay? So it's an actual contact. Your talk time will be better. And if someone was smart at your company, they would take the call to use for coaching with you. And then they would size them up and realize, how come you haven't taught this individual this stuff yet? And so, yes, do I do this all the time? But it's becoming a novelty now. A lot of the times I'm getting these robocalls telling me about my auto insurance in the United States. Man, I haven't been there since August of 2000. Why are you asking me about that? But it's funny. Sometimes I'll answer questions. Yeah, I got auto insurance. Okay,
Mhm.
sure. And they see if they can pitch me. And then they'll transfer a call to somebody where they're not using noise canceling headsets. I can hear 50 people in the background. This guy's reading a script, repeating it over and over, not even allowing me really to confirm anything, just trying to get through it. Why? So they don't get fired.
Mm.
And someone like myself in this industry, I go, what an opportunity for this young squire to train them properly and mold them so they don't have bad habits. And you ruined it. It's tainted already. They hate their job.
Mhm.
And so there's a lot of emotions that go through that. But when given the chance, oh, absolutely. If I'm not in between things or rushed, I'll spend 20 minutes with them. I swear I will. Why? Because people did that for me back in the day. There were
Mm.
some individuals that were incredible in my career and my path and success. Certain teachers, individuals that gave me my first jobs or internships, the first accounts that I got when I sold for certain companies. You never forget those moments. That's like toe tapping and skipping moments. I mean, you can't believe you did it. And you feel good about yourself. That's the sort of things where you become more mature and you start working on impulse control,
Mm.
and you see yourself shedding skin and changing into a different person, and it's a person you actually admire and like. And so, sometimes doing the tougher things builds the character.
Absolutely. And you feel accomplished, and it grows. It makes you go harder and faster and makes you learn more. One of the things that we talk about a lot is how much you're learning every day, because it's a constant growth process.
But I tell you, if that's what people want, is to make a lot of money, you'll make a lot of money, a ton of it. And it's all fun and everything, right? You can buy pinball machines. But then there's a certain time where golden jewels, it loses its luster. And I've gone out and stuffed myself on sushi, where I'll get uni with quail's egg, and as much as I can.
And one of the best opportunities that you've had, when you look back, what was like one of the things that said, yes, this is the road I'm going to go down, and this is the one I'm going to help other people. I mean, you're more than just a call center. You're training people not only to have a job, but also to have a life. I mean, we're talking about the soft skills you're training. What was that moment?
That's
Where was that moment that you said, you know what, I want to be more than just a call center. I want to be more than this. Where was that?
it's like the island of misfit toys. You know, each one of us. I don't know about you, but growing up, I wasn't an angel, wasn't a devil, but I was given multiple chances. So I wanted to make it an environment where people got three strikes, where they got a chance to really find their balance or to shake off the other jobs that they had so they can start anew. The average age was 24. Most of these kids live at home. The money they earn is party money. Some have responsibilities, but most of them are just having fun. I was mentioning attrition earlier, and
Mhm.
so I can't compete against Amazon, HP, Intel, and Oracle. I'll lose people because of scheduling conflicts, transportation, sometimes even salary. But to answer your question, it's to not give somebody a walk of shame or to deface them on the floor. Because if you have leverage, you can do something with that, either make or break somebody. And I just wanted to see if people could fly. And this was an environment that I understood. So I wasn't relying on others besides the IT part. I was seeing through old school art if people can become speakers
Hmm.
and listeners. And so, yeah, I got a lot of fulfillment from it. I saw that it was exceptionally lucrative, so I wanted to get into the industry. But it's jarring. It takes a lot out of you. You get disappointed more than you do angry because you see the lost potential in people. And I'm not going to say that one generation is better than another, but I've seen the lack of professional ethics in regards to giving a 2 weeks notice
Hmm.
or certain other things that would be easier for transitions. It's okay, but business owners will understand what I mean. And surprises aren't fun, but your surprise of quitting because you're working at Amazon tomorrow because your girlfriend there means that I got to call you, Jason, and have a plan. There's no surprises. I'll let you know what happened. Have 3 candidates that are ready to go. And now you and I realize that I have character during chaos. I can handle this. And look at the relationship we have. I mean, it won't always be aces,
Hmm.
but I'm not going to duck you. I'm not going to hide and avoid you and not try to share with you the truth. I mean, ducking somebody and not sharing with them information, you're going to get caught. And then, as much as you still might work with somebody, the relationship's never the same. And is it embarrassing? It's terribly embarrassing.
Hmm.
And also, what about the 9 hours that I spent training him last week? And then he just pieces out on you. And so, can I live with that? Yes, that's just the price that you have to pay. Okay? And maybe the 9 hours I spent with the kid was more than enough where he's not using the word help anymore. And, but, after training 10,000 people, the market does speak. I've had people come back and thank me for working with them and knowing their name and just treating them with some respect, especially as a guest here, as an Anglo-Saxon, as a North American. Some people, not saying all of us, but some people might have a reputation of just coming here, doing what they have to do, and just leaving. Well, I married a Costa Rican. I made a life here. I paid taxes. The name of my company is Costa Rica's Call Center. And so don't judge me on your experiences with other people. Give me a clean slate as I'm giving to you so we can put those sins behind us and start anew and just see how we are today. And so a lot of people like that fresh start. And yeah, you can give them some guilt and call the balls and the strikes, and you might get the best out of some people.
Absolutely. And out of the 10,000 people that you've trained, and it's probably more than that, right? Out of all those people, you got to really have some type of sense of pride and I guess fulfillment too on how you've took them from one spot and now they're in another spot and they're probably flourishing because you took time to train them and get them to where they are.
Just a little bit of magic dust, nothing else. I can't take full credit of your nice haircut. Damn it, all I can do is compliment it.
Right. Right.
So,
Well,
yeah, I mean, I'm just a ship in the night, passing along the way, and I'm hoping that through a smile and respect, it might have snapped you out of it. Maybe the bad taste you had of what you thought a boss was, a supervisor, or somebody that starts a business. A lot of people don't see the grind. And if you want the parking spot in the suit, then take it, buy it. Who cares? You really want to be just in the game. And the game is not, if you earn well, once again, you put that aside. Then it's the pure game to seeing if someone responds to your emails and phone calls. If somebody respects your time by showing up to the meeting if people speak well about you behind your back, if you get referrals and compliments. It's not for your ego. It's to answer your question if you're doing the right thing. People will come into my company, say, I was referred. People spoke about you. Or I'll get phone calls saying, even though you didn't do business with Jason because he doesn't need a call center, he liked you so much that when we were playing golf, he mentioned you. You made that impression. You spoke to him for how long we've been on? 59 minutes and 36 seconds, and you still
Mm-hmm.
didn't force him to sign the contract like they do in Glengarry Glen Ross. He spent an
Right.
hour with you? Yeah, tons of advice and this and that and stories. Really? Didn't hard sell you? No. No, it's the open cage bird that will always come back.
Yeah. That so true. That's amazing.
Well, thanks,
Amazing.
man. It was a good podcast episode, right? We did well.
Oh yeah, heck yeah, I love it. I mean, it's just when you get somebody who's so dynamic, I think it would be a good word to describe you because that's where you are. It's just amazing to see just the dynamics that you bring in and the energy you bring in and obviously the intelligence. It's this has been more than fun. This has been an absolute experience for me for sure.
Just try to live a dream. Stars were aligned and I took major chances. I got past parents' guilt. So don't think this was easy. I made
No,
decisions and I made the decisions for Richard. So I'm trying to drink life and live a pure life. And that's a nice thing if you're capable.
absolutely, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate your
Yeah,
time. It's
I
been
had
a
a great
lot of
time, my
fun.
brother.
Me too. If you ever, do you get up to the States very much? Your
I
whole
do.
family's down
Visit
there.
Philly all the time, in Arizona, Colorado. Yeah, I'm all over the place. But if I'm in your neck of the woods, you and I are definitely hanging out. Go get some wings or something.
Well, I'm coming to Costa Rica, then I'm definitely hitting you up.
Oh, that's a guarantee. I'll get you at the airport. We're going to start partying from there. We'll have a great time.
Sounds good. Thank you, Richard, so much for your time. I appreciate it, man. And
You
we'll
too,
do this
buddy.
again.
You
Thanks,
got it. Take care.
man. Thank you so much.